Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the Creative Cranium. Tonight, we're going to talk about the tools of our trade. I got some of today's top creators to tell us what's in their toolbox. Let's talk to our terrific guests. I want to introduce MARTHEUS WADE, Aaron Humphreys, and Nick Davis. Welcome, guys.
Glad to be here.
Always good to be here. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for coming on the show. I'm so excited to talk to you guys. We got a great topic. We're going to talk about the tools of the trade, right? What's in your toolbox? Some people are digital, some are traditional, some, are online. There's no wrong way to be a creator. So tonight I want to talk to you guys and see, how are you doing? I'm going to start with MARTHEUS. So are you a digital guy, traditional guy, iPad? What are you using?
I go back and forth between the two. It depends on how fast I have to turn around the artwork, because I still do a lot of stuff, commercial artwork and graphic design artwork as well. So a lot of times I have done both, and it also just depends on where the artwork is going. Like if I have to email it or something like that, I'm going to do it digitally. But if I'm sending a hard copy out because they're going to scan it, they're going to sell it and keep it on their end, then I'm doing it traditionally. Commissions and things like that, and at the at conventions and stuff, of course there are always originals and stuff like that. So
oh yeah, so when you're at conventions, do you do prints and originals?
I do prints and originals. I try not to do too many prints. There's so many print walls nowadays, you know what I mean?
Right.
Specifically, people trying to kind of ape other artists. I really don't do that. I like to do my take on the things that I like. I love Power Rangers. So I'm doing that type of stuff. And so I have some prints, but I also have originals and sketch cards and stuff like that too. So
oh, nice. Okay, so you use a little bit of both then. Good answer. Aaron, how about you? You do digital, traditional? How do you make your books?
I've been going more digital. I was traditional. Did the inking. I used to do inking with a brush. Actually would like to do that again. It's been a long time since I've done it. But I was mostly traditional. But I went digital and I noticed a difference in my artwork. I couldn't quite figure it out. And when I would go all digital and it was okay. There's something missing. And then I was somewhere and I drew the picture. I was like, I'll just draw pencils of it and I'll scan it and ink it in the computer. And then I liked that much more. So now I figured out that I draw traditionally, very very rough with the pencils, and then I shrink it down and ink it, and I seem to get the detail I want. And I have no idea why I'm not doing it digitally. So I talked to another friend who said the same thing, and I was like, yeah, it's weird. I didn't notice it until I saw it, and then so I do half and half. So mostly traditional, and then I ink it and color it in the computer.
Oh, interesting.
So, yeah.
Okay. Nick, how about you? Kind of the same, or what's your step one, and what do you use?
Well, as you know, I'm actually referred to myself more as an occasional artist over being a writer. I do actually do a lot of artwork for my books, which surprises the heck out of a lot of people. I actually am more digital than I am actually analog. Now, doesn't mean I've not done the old pencil and ink and that kind of thing, but I actually draw particularly in Procreate. In fact, there's actually Procreate going on there.
Sure, yeah.
So I do a lot of I actually do a lot of my work inside Procreate, because to me it's actually faster for the transitions into actually doing the production work for the main book, and it cuts out the scanning, which is all kinds of issues now. Because unless you own a big flatbed scanner, it's getting very much harder to find those devices.
Right.
So using the Procreate has helped me there. But in the main same ways as basically everybody else here, but everybody builds out their pages. We all start with basically a pencil layout. I basically I draw a blue line in Procreate itself in pencil. Then I go over the top with inks. So very much we keep the same traditional pattern going on there. I just have basically a few more options in coloring and that sort of thing for when we get to that space. So yeah, I'm almost purely digital nowadays. Though you will find me at shows when I occasionally do commissions, and you guys, somebody can talk me into it. I will break out the old pen and ink and basically start drawing on a piece of paper. Though I have found, oddly enough, because I've drawn so much in Procreate, I do the 2-finger tap on a piece of paper and I'm trying to erase things. Has anybody else done that? It's like, why is it not working? Why is it not working?
Sure.
So,
and how about, and you do at the conventions too, the art for the kids, that was what was that panel you were doing?
Okay, well, I basically do a lot of stuff with Kids Love Comics, which is basically a show that they're basically part of a lot of conventions that basically try to get comic books into kids' hands. And I do a workshop for the for Kids Love Comics coders, draw the shape, not the thing. Because it's making a secret of basically how to draw is that we don't really draw the thing. None of us here do. We draw the shapes around the thing, and then we connect it together. So I take basic geometric shapes like circles and squares and triangles, and put them together into one of my characters, a character called Hero Ted, who's like teddy bear who basically protects nap times. And I basically do a 30-minute workshop with kids basically working on a worksheet in front of me. So basically, here's a circle, here's the body, here's the legs, sausages for arms, that sort of thing.
Yeah. And I saw part of your workshop. It was really good, Nick.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, nicely done. Nicely done.
And we try to make it loud and entertaining and running around because the kids got short attention fans.
It was fun. It was fun.
Thank you.
You need to use that conventions?
Yes, I do. Yes.
Nice.
Usually, yeah. So if you like Tidewater, Bomber, Comic Con, Awesome Con this year as well. A lot of the bigger 2-day shows you see me doing that type of thing. It's an interesting way of basically talking to folk about enjoying and communicating the basics of drawing. Because let's face it, it's intimidating. Okay. So if you can get a kid and say, hey, look, that picture you're seeing there, that's just basically a circle with a couple of triangles attached to it. And that suddenly you see those light bulbs going on in their heads. And then basically you've got a kid creating and drawing. Because let's be fair here, it's how we all started with basically lined paper, boarded school somewhere, something like that. It's a lot different to how kids do it nowadays. I mean, they do everything on devices, but if we can suddenly get them to start drawing with a pencil, even it's just their finger on a drawing app on their phones, we're suddenly getting them creating, and that sparks something very different in a kid's head. It's a wonderful thing to see.
Yeah. That was a fun panel.
Was it? Yeah. There was an old how to draw on the tick when I used to collect the tick years ago in the original comics. It was how to draw the tick in 3 easy steps.
I remember that.
It was, you remember, it was like draw an oval, now bisect the oval with the line, and then draw the tick holding an oval with the line. And I was just like, you should do that for the kids and just see what that looks like. Wait, what? Like, but a lot of art lessons are like that. I mean, when I was a kid, it's like, draw this, now make it Superman. And I'm like, wait, what steps did I miss? Like 20 of them in there?
Yeah.
It's cool that you said that too, because I do classes throughout school. So it's like every Thursday. It used to be every Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. I do this thing called the Comic Studio, and I got kids that come in. Now it's just Wednesdays. I let the other classes kind of go for right now because I got really busy. But yeah, it's the same thing. I tell them, hey, we're gonna work on sketching just our shapes. We're just warming up with our shapes. How many shapes can you see? How many shapes can you put together to create this new object that you're looking at? And I'll put an object in front of them, like a common writer or something like that. And they're like, oh my gosh. The coolest thing though is one time I put Ultra Magnus, the Transformer. And you guys are gonna draw this today, and they all freaked out, right? And then I was like, no, don't freak out. I was like, don't freak out. It's just, if you look at it as a whole bunch of shapes put on top of each other, and you can identify what those shapes are, there you go. And by the end of the class, kids were like, oh my gosh, I drew Ultra Magnus, man, that's cool. And you're just like, yeah, it's just shapes. Now just go back and refine those shapes, and you're good,
Absolutely,
Yeah.
I totally agree with that. It is in the end, it's just shapes, and a lot of that's kind of lost here and there in some lessons we see in books and that sort of thing. A lot of the, I've actually noticed a lot of the drawing books or how to draw books don't actually really go down that way. They do what I call the tick, where
Yeah.
basically it's like 3 steps and suddenly here's the fully rendered image,
Yeah.
and there's nothing giving anybody a clue how to do that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Well, they're missing a ton of stuff. This is why you can always tell like a good artist, because they get the proportions of shapes right. And it's always important to focus, because like they try to, most people start trying to draw like actually go with the line, but once you get the shapes and everything right, you can render it any way you want. It's going to look relatively right. And I've seen people do beautiful stuff, but then, like the proportions wrong. I'm like, sorry, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm never going to unsee that. I never will. So yeah.
oh my.
Well, I'm glad that our answer kind of segues into people that are beginners, right? Because we're all beginners once too.
Yeah.
So let's jump back to Martheuus. So if somebody was just starting out, what kind of tools would you say hey, I want to do what you do, right? What tools would you recommend to them if somebody was just starting out?
Man, if they're just starting out,
Yeah.
I try not to, like in my class, I try to make it like I have a class list of things that they can get, but I try to be able to make it as open as I possibly can, because a lot of the kids that I used to teach didn't have a lot of extra income. So when I first started classes, they were a lot of times, I was giving them drawing pads and paper and pencils and stuff like that. They just didn't have it. Even before then, I taught in the penitentiary system. So I was going into the penitentiary and teaching inmates illustration, you know what I mean, and comic book illustration. And they can't have pencils, they're not supposed to have them. So I would have to bring them and then take them up. So I was used to being able to kind of like, hey man, what do you have that you can actually afford and use? Then if they had pencil paper, a lot of them had their own notebook paper because they were kids, they were going to school. They had pencils and stuff like that. I would tell them to bring that, and then I would give them, hey, here's a mechanical pencil, here's a number 2 pencil, and here is one of these white white erasers, and we're getting ready to go that way. And then we'll segue into things like, okay, let me show you how I'm doing it. And then I'll bring out my iPad and I'll open up Procreate or Fresco and I'll say, okay, this is what I'm doing with this. And then they're like, wow, how can you do that? Then I'll segue into Photoshop, segue into coloring. But it's always like I always try to tailor it what you have. Like some of the kids in my class right now, some of them are working digitally, they have their complete setup, and then others come in and they're like, well, I don't have anything. So that's when I'm trying to tailor it to like,
is it now, would you say it's mostly digital, or are the kids or half and half? What would you say?
It's about half and half. Some of the kids, they are computer, a lot of the kids are computer savvy nowadays anyway. But a lot of kids don't understand that you can actually be able to do the artwork in the computer as well. Like, and some of them are so used to drawing in school, but like doodling in school, that it doesn't feel right yet to them to draw digitally. Like that, they don't have the surface of the pad where it feels like paper, or or the pen that makes it feel like it's a pencil. They don't have that. They just have the slickness of a cheap, stylus, and they don't like that. So it's still pretty much half and half. You know what I mean? It's half traditional, half digital.
So Aaron, how about you? If somebody was just starting out and they'd say, hey man,
that's a hard one.
And the example is they see what you're doing, let's say, right? You got your beautiful new book, man. Somebody sees this book and they go, wow, how do I make something like this, right? They're inspired. What would you recommend that they use?
Okay, so I could go the expensive route, or
tell you what, dude, do it like this first. Pretend money's no object. Hey, he's a trust fund kid. Like, if you what would be the best one? I would kind of want to know.
See, I'll tell you how I work. I consider myself, I don't know what the word ghetto, or like I tear apart my artwork. Like I tear, how do I say this? So I draw on the back of a cardboard because it gives like a give. Well, I just tore the cardboard out the back of a drawing pad. When I buy my paper, I buy a ream of cardstock from Kinko's. Last me years. I rarely buy art supplies. I just don't. I go in, I buy a mechanical pencil, I have the white eraser that Marthius was talking about. I draw in cardstock and I have tons of it. And I would tell them just go get some typing paper and a pencil and an
Yeah,
eraser and
it's where
knock
the
yourself out
inspiration
half.
strikes you, right?
Right. Well, I think this is the one thing always cripples. The more expensive you get stuff, the more the anxiety is they're going to screw it up. It's like if you get a pad of paper that's
Absolutely.
24 and you get a page of paper and you screw it up, like that's money. So get something you don't care about screwing up. That way it frees you up to do whatever you want and not worry about it.
Sets you free.
Yeah, kind of. And then as you get better, you start figuring out like, oh, I want this paper, I want that paper. I mean, I still like Bristol. I mean, I still get Bristol every once in a while. And especially if I'm doing more lifelike type drawings.
Sure.
But I just it's cardstock. Go down the Kinko's, dig in the, go in the you could, dumb as it is, go in the recycle bin. All the people who mistake and like misphotocopy something, go grab all that stuff and draw on the back. But I draw on the back of stuff all the time, and so I just will cannibalize stuff through my art and just do it. And so, because I think a lot of kids or people feel they have to have a bunch of art stuff. This is always a sign to me of a beginning artist. They go to Michael's and they come out with a cartload of all this art supplies. I'm like, yeah, you're not gonna use half of those.
Yeah.
You're gonna half of those are gonna sit in there and collect dust. I could have told you what they got and you would have figured it out and bought it more. But I mean, they're excited, so you do as you will. But yeah, so
Gotcha.
that's would be my advice to them.
That's a good answer. Nick, how about you? If somebody was inspired by your work and they say, hey, I want to do what he does, man, how would you recommend that they get started?
Oh my, I'd be very would inspired by my work, but it's how I've been here and actually had conversations like this in conventions, and they say, how do you do this? How do you get started? And I said, you just grab a piece of paper and grab a pencil and just draw. Yeah. You've already taken if you've started, you do that, you've taken the very first step. First step. There's lots of steps to go, but you've taken what I call the first and most important step. The step that basically you're saying, I'm brave enough to suck to basically get better.
I've heard that one. Yeah.
So that's why I always start. I mean, Alan's actually pretty much hit the nail on the head. I've seen budding artists go into art stores like Michael's and buy every single thing they see on the shelf, and I just know you're not going to do anything. It's like that's like the person who's going to basically has that New Year's resolution to go to the gym and buys all the new gym gear for themselves and goes one time. You just know they're going to use it one time. It's going to get thrown in a bin somewhere because it's going to look terrible and they're going to hate it, and they go, "What am I doing this? It sucks." But if you start with a pencil and a piece of paper, that's all you need to do, and just draw and keep going and just keep going and keep going. You add pieces of tools to your toolkit as you go. You'll go and basically buy a Sharpie and Sharpie to ink. That's all you need. That's a Sharpie, and then basically maybe you might start picking up some of the pit pens, and like a pit pen set, a $5 pit pen set from like Five Below, and you start using those. So you gradually define and refine yourself to the point that basically you pick up the tools as you go. But you've got to pick up that pencil and get that piece of paper. And as I said, it doesn't matter what the paper is. It can be basically back a copy of paper, and that's all you need. And I always suggest go that route first, because once you start drawing and you feel that bug bite you will pick up you will pick up the tools naturally as you go. I started way back with a pencil. I actually didn't start drawing it, and I had a 20-year gap before I started drawing again. And again, I started again just with a pencil and a piece of paper, and I just drew and drew and drew. So that's how we do it. That's the only way you can really get into doing this is right at the basics. We all start by crawling, then we learn how to walk and wobble, then finally somewhere we managed to run, and eventually we managed to run without bumping into things. So that's where it's at. And I agree totally with Aaron's philosophy of basically just use stuff there again with Matthäus. I do apologize. I knew I was going to get that wrong. That basically you just keep it simple and just move forward from there, and you will pick up the tools. I mean, you go to I don't know, Five Below or Ollie's or discount stores, and you get those draw manga sets for like $8, $10. It
Right.
actually has everything you need to get started. You don't need hundreds and hundreds of tools, rulers, protractors, aims guides, or anything like that. It's virtually pointless to have at the very, very start. You will grow into it because you want your stuff to look better and better and better, but you've got to get to that point first. So you don't intimidate yourself by buying yourself lots of tools. The flashy kid that buys all that flashy stuff, he ain't doing nothing. He really ain't. So,
And you also learn what pens bleed through the paper too. When you were talking about Sharpies or whatever, I'm like, everybody's got to, learn the tool of drawing a picture. Oh, that bled through. Now it's on the other paper. I've done that. Everybody has to learn what tools. Like, oh wait, paper.
So it sounds like, do we agree?
Yeah.
It sounds like we are saying that the tools are now roughly 50% digital and 50% traditional. Is that what we're saying?
Yeah.
Roughly?
Yeah, I would say that's a thing nowadays. Yes.
Okay.
I always think it's good to draw traditional because digital is trying to mimic traditional techniques.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times if you know how to do traditional, you can figure out what the program's trying to do.
Yeah.
Trying to mimic, and then it works better.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Because if not, you're just like, why is it doing this? Like, because this is what we did traditionally, and it's trying to mimic that.
Right.
And then you get all spoiled with the auto erase and tapping it, and then basically you have the auto shape tools, and you draw a curve with a pencil on a piece of paper, and you're trying to figure out why it's not auto curving for you.
I remember when Photoshop was around and you had like so many erase states, you can only go back so far in Photoshop.
Oh yeah.
And then you were like, oh man, yeah.
Oh my
gosh, I think it's infinite.
You're talking like pre-Photoshop 7. I've played with those programs. It's like,
I
how did everybody ever draw in this thing?
I started at Photoshop 1. That's like
called
Photoshop. Yeah,
I did. I actually did too. I started out in Photoshop 1 as well, and I used to try and draw with a I used to color my drawings with a mouse.
Oh god.
Oh wow.
I could string even lower and go. Basically, I started with Apple Draw.
Oh wow.
Oh wow, that is back there.
Apple Paint, an old Mac SE2, the screen about this big.
Yeah.
You're peering into it. It's got like 20 pixels on the screen, and that's it.
Yeah.
Oh god, yeah.
Hey, well, let's jump into what you guys are making, right? So I'll start with MARTHEUS. I just met you right through Kelly, who I love Kelly a lot.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about what you're making and how you did it.
Well, right now we are working on a couple of different things, man. Like I said before, I do a lot of artwork for other people as well. I did some stuff for IDW and some stuff for
nice.
For Lucasfilm and stuff like that. So and then I worked for an ad agency for a long time, and then I worked for the Cardinals organization for a long time. For about 5 years. So, and then I stepped out on my own during COVID, and I started doing my own agency. So I do a lot of different stuff. Thanks. It's difficult, but I like being able to work for myself. I want to build.
Where's can I ask, what's your city?
Memphis, Tennessee.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah. So
I'm Pennsylvania, so we're not too far.
Oh yeah.
Drive it. Right.
So but we're working on a couple of different things right now. The big project is we're in the middle of, we're actually at the end of doing issue 17 of this book called Avior.
Gotcha.
And it's an independent book for the Museum of Experimental Aircraft Association.
Oh,
nice.
Oh, that'd be fascinating to see.
Yeah, it's cool.
And I'll share some of the artwork from your projects here.
I'll send it. And then so we're also our stuff. My personal stuff is we do a book that's an all ages book called Shinobi Ninja Princess.
Oh, nice.
Do this. This is the hardcover for it.
Sweet.
And so we do this book, and we're working on the second volume of this now. And then we also our universe of characters is called the Toshigawa universe.
Sure.
And that all of our characters take place in that same universe. So this is like 14-year-old Shiandria Toshigawa, but then we have a book that jumps ahead in time that is her. This is called Jetta Tales of the Toshigawa. This is book 1 and book 2, and this is her when she's 20 something. So it like jumps kind of like 10 years in the future.
Sure. I like those glossy covers, man.
Yeah, man, it's pretty cool, man. I'm pretty happy with how the trades came out, man. You know,
You want to shout your printer out?
Yeah, it is Comics Wellspring. You guys heard of them?
Yeah, that's who I use.
Yeah, they did a really good job, man, with this, and so
I gotta see if they will sponsor this show because we always have their clients.
Oh,
They are,
shoot.
they are the trifecta, like quality, speed,
But they
and
look,
that kind of stuff.
yeah.
Marthius, they look really good, man.
Thank you. So we're doing that, and those are, you know, I try to, you know, with both of those projects, I'm trying to blend you know, like an anime type of a feel with a cartoon type of feel.
Oh, sure.
So when you look at the book, it you know, when you open up the book, I want you, especially with Shinobi Ninja Princess, I want you to be able to get that like Saturday morning cartoon feel.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I love stuff like that. I love stuff like that, man.
The background is like painted. The people in front are cell shaded. You know what I mean? And then in Jetta Tales of Toshigawa, it's like looking at a Dragon Ball Z. You know what I mean? You kind of like, you're always into the fight. It's action oriented, but it's also like very anime, very it's still painterly backgrounds and stuff like that. On top of this anime aesthetic foreground. So yeah, we really have been trying to expand this universe, you know, and we've been having fun doing it, you know.
Yeah, it sounds amazing. This sounds
Thank
amazing.
you.
I mean, I wish you every success with it. We're going to include the links of all these projects in the description. Aaron, how about you? I'm a little bit familiar with your work, but start at the beginning for somebody that doesn't know what you're doing. Tell us about what you're making.
Oh God, I've been working on this. This is the one I finished my Gollings book, and I have that printed. That's big.
Yeah,
and
you know I love
think
this logo. I mentioned I love it.
Yeah, the logo on there. The
Mhm.
So this is my kick around copy, so it's kind of old, but the whole thing is colored inside.
Ooh,
so I
wow.
just finished that last year.
How many pages is that, Aaron?
300 pages,
Wow.
and that's done.
That's an accomplishment, man. 300 pager.
Yeah,
That's
and
a lot of pages.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that one is done, and then I think you've seen I've been doing Knocked. The second issue is at the printer.
Yeah,
now.
I might like Knocked
Yeah.
even better. I say that, and that's a hard statement for me to say, but it looks cool, man.
Knocked. Well, yeah. I've always liked drawing Halloween stuff, and I've always liked Conan the Barbarian, so I just smushed them
I like
together.
your color
That was
palette
it.
you have going on it.
Yeah. So I've been trying to stick more like the Halloween type stuff, because I'm working on issue 3 now, which is vampires. Issue 2 is at the printer.
How about
back
you?
now.
You got any convention? Convention?
I'm hopefully gonna be trying to go into Mid Valley Comic Con in Salem, Oregon. I live outside Portland. I live in Vancouver, Washington, so outside Portland, Oregon. Yeah. So, and then another initiative of what I'm trying to work on, just for fun, just because I enjoy doing stuff like this, is I actually trying to draw pinups of independent comic artists, their characters, because everyone draws Batman and Spider-Man. And strangely enough, Marthius knows I've been a big fan of his stuff. I bought all of his stuff.
I'm sorry, I just figured out that you are Aaron.
Yeah.
And, you know what? And I was like, wait a minute, I know all this work, because I was looking at it. And I was just like, man, I know this work. And then I looked at your name. I'm like, that's Aaron.
Yeah, that's the guy I'm involved in. Yeah. So
Hey, man,
and I can show you this, because this is something I've been drawing. If that comes in, the first image is Toshigawa is a Shinobi Ninja Princess. Yeah. And so I hopefully will have this done in a few. So that's my first pinup, and then I'm going over to Timothy, and I might do some of your characters. This is just for fun, just because it's always fun when people like draw pinups, and anybody draws your own stuff. You're like, oh man, that's cool. So
I want to make a quick comment. I like your color palette too that you use, and I think that's one of the things that makes it stick out. And real quick again, not to get off topic. So you're a digital colorist?
Yeah, I am.
Okay, gotcha.
But I do something.
How do you choose the
Like if you
Nick,
want to
I'm
look
sorry,
at
just
like
one more
the
question.
colors.
How do you
I
choose
don't.
it? Because it is different than other colors.
I use a program called Cooler, which I'm sure Marthias and everyone know. You can go online.
Mm,
Cooler's a program that helps you choose colors, and so I just use that a lot. And I kind of just stay
it
with
looks
that.
great.
And I'm looking, so I will look for tones like this. That was a cool tone. The second issue is a warm tone. I'm doing a cool tone again. So I just pick tones and play with color. I actually never really messed with color until a few years ago. Like, and then I kind of started messing with it. And I don't know. People said I have a knack for it. I still think it's my weakest skill. I'll take forever trying to choose colors and mess with them, but people still say it. So I'm happy you guys
Keep doing what
let me
you're
like
doing.
my
However
color.
you,
Yeah,
however
because
you do
I'm
it,
like,
keep doing it.
I see other people and other people take very like courageous color choices, like shadowing and purple and stuff, and very different things I've never, like when you see painters like, yeah, but the shadows are purple, and I'm like, what? But it works. So
Yeah.
yeah, I have all of Matthias's. I actually have one of his pinups, his pictures up here. He sent me a pinup, so it's on my
Yeah.
wall.
Yeah. I
So
did.
yeah.
Nice, nice.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so
Appreciate
glad that
Yeah.
worked out.
Oh yeah,
So-
yeah. So I saw him. I was like, yeah, I know. I know. I think I talked to him one other time on an interview a long time ago with the
It was a long
John.
time ago, but it was
Yeah.
it was I couldn't hear very well because it was
Yeah.
staticky. So I couldn't hear and I couldn't see very well. So I had to look at the dialogue running, and I was reading dialogue as it went. So it was,
Yeah.
And we are
yeah.
hooked up because we supported that charity with Kelly, right?
Yeah,
The-
yeah.
By the way,
The,
thanks for doing that. Thanks for doing
yeah,
that.
that
That's something I'm trying to
that was
work on
fun.
this year. That's one that I'm going to try and do a little bit more of if it's within me.
What,
Well,
just out
Yeah.
of curiosity, Marthias, I remember years ago you were trying to do something called like it was Heroes World. It was a big building, and I think you were going to teach in the building.
Oh, yeah. It was the Hero Empowerment Center.
Hero Empowerment Center. Did that ever get finished or ever?
It never did.
I'm sorry
we
to
were
hear
trying- Yeah, we were trying. It's still going, but you
Okay.
know, the city is it's just taking a long time with the city and trying to get it up because it's a huge endeavor. You can't do something like that, you know, without the city being involved. So
Yeah.
yeah,
That
You're
was
just
really
waiting.
cool.
Yeah.
So hopefully it comes through.
Yeah.
excellent. So let's jump
He'd
over
have
to
to explain it what it is. It's
I'll explain it when it
yeah.
comes back around to me. I don't want to take too much time. 'Cause it'd be
yeah,
like,
go to
all day.
let's jump over to Nick. I want to hear about what he's making. You got a project live, and like I was saying before, the one thing about Nick's projects, man, they are fun. And it's like if you're 5 or you're 55, that drawing panel was super fun. Tell us a little bit more about what you're making.
Oh, well, thank you. Actually, you know, I was actually very interested in Aaron and Matthias's conversation there because they know each other. I'm going, who are these guys? Who are they?
Well, we're kind of meeting for the first time.
Yeah,
Well,
the
it's
art
like-
world is
it's
kind
yeah.
of small, right? The art world's kind
Yeah.
of small. This is
I'm-
that kind of stuff
yeah.
happens sometimes,
Yeah.
and I'm glad when it does.
No, I'm actually fantastic. I'm actually blown away and amazed myself. I'm always up in like a small corner of the East Coast when basically the interrelationships that are basically in this community are absolutely do blow my mind.
And you and I are a little close. You're Baltimore or DC, something?
I am up in basically a very small town called Orrstown here in Pennsylvania. So
yeah.
yeah, so you know, it's as my girl likes to call it, it's Central East Pennsylvania. Sounds like it's like really, really, really big and cool, but it's not. It's literally we're surrounded by Amish.
Yeah,
Oh, really?
you're not too far from me. You're not too
Amish
far
picture.
from me.
Okay, you're up in that area. Okay,
Yeah, I'm up in that area, yes. But yeah, so you know, I can't compare this to some of the work that you guys do. It's absolutely amazing and fantastic. And I'm actually looking at the two Woodwomans back there, and I actually love your color palette there, Aaron. It's very, very diffused.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I'm basically a occasional artist and writer. Well, actually more writer than artist. But and I do like drawing panels at various conventions. But I'm actually working on a book at the moment myself. Oh, my own book. It's this one here. This is Let's Hunt Monsters. This is actually my convenient production bible at the moment. The book.
Oh, that's cool.
The book is actually up live on Kickstarter. So if you type in letshuntmonsters.com, you'll go straight to the Kickstarter and find it there. We've actually got a print funding, which is great. We're trying to go out for the stretch goals. And it's all basically drawn and coloured by myself. So, you know, let's see if we can get this up here so you guys can see it. And hopefully we won't get too blown away by the plastic and the lighting.
Oh, wow. That is kind of
Oh,
cool.
cool.
So
And I'll share some art in the comment, in the link too.
So it's big old imagery.
Oh, yeah. This is cool, man.
I'm really kicking it up into basically trying to basically get rid of some of that 90s id, the, you know, Image and Wildcats,
Yeah.
like big key characters and images, and just make it crazy and zany and make people basically go, wow, look what's going on here. But my audience is primarily 8s through to basically late teens in terms of my books. Actually, what have we got there? Actually, that's one of my favorites there. He's just hanging up in there. That's one of the big old jawhead monsters. So, and I basically a lot of my drawing when I do draw is very out of proportion and very emotional in the panels. But my books are like 8 through to like 15, 6 through to 15 in terms of my age range I go to. This book itself, Let's Hunt Monsters, is probably closer to a teenager one because I go a little bit extreme because, as you can tell from my accent, I'm from not from around here. I'm from England, and basically I grew up reading like books like 2000 AD, which can kind of messing your head a slight touch. But this book is pretty much a homage to basically all the comic books I've pretty much read in my youth. Some of the crazier 90s stuff, but actually with a storyline. Just basically just throwing it into there. But Let's Hunt Monsters. I'm going to put it one more time, just here. It's actually part of my Night Guardian.
What were some of the influences that on you?
On me, I got so many. It's unbelievable. First off, basically, let's start with the biggest influence we all pretty much all share. It's probably just is Jack. You know, Mr. Kirby himself. He basically his art was basically the way he portrayed imagery and motion inside a panel was revolutionary at the time. Still revolutionary in many ways, and still hasn't been matched by a lot of books that we read nowadays. The sheer fact that basically the simplicity over basically complex and basically putting that into the work basically pushes out the action. Because let's face it, with comic books, they're basically they're like movies, but we're just catching the scene in a important scene. And in that scene, we have to portray the emotion of what's going on, the action that's going on, the sheer momentum of everything that's going on in that panel. So that's pretty much one of my big influences. Brian Bollard's a big one as well. I still absolutely love his Judge Dredd versus Judge Fear, where basically gaze into the face of Fear, and Judge Dredd retorts by punching him through the head, but saying gaze into the fist of Dredd. This is the stuff that I'm reading. I'm like 8 to 9 years old, but basically so many UK artists, and because UK comics work, they're very much a black ink sort of thing. That's why you see a very heavy, extremely heavy line in my work. It's like there's a lot of black inking going on on those pages, because I'm extremely influenced by the imagery I saw. Almost all my comics of my youth, and almost till I came to the US, was all black and white. So we had 2000 AD, Warlord, Battle, even the Beano, if anybody knows that one. It's a lot of black and white, and basically really bad four press coloring, CYNK, which basically was offset, and you could probably put a pair of 3D glasses on and actually have it pop out of you. It's so badly printed. But everything I do here is basically based in a world called the Night Guardians. This is actually one of my other books here. It's still another production Bible, which I'm actually working on at the moment as well, with the thanks to the Pennsylvania Art Council, who basically gave me a bit of money to get that done.
Nice.
And these are stories.
Congrats, Nick.
Oh, thank you. I've got to start talking about them a bit more. They won't give me a grant again for this year. But the stories are basically all my stories, even the one in the Let's Hunt Monsters, are basically all based around hope, friendship, and courage as their prime movers, and they're all fantasy adventure stories. So that they're not high fantasy. They're basically our fantasy. I'd say basically if you read the Amulet, you're probably very familiar with the context of the stories. They're a little bit more of a dark fantasy because I'm a little bit twisted because of all my all the stuff I read and influenced me growing up. If you basically watch The Labyrinth, you're going to find a lot of that kind of dark fantasy references here. The 80s Disney movies were so dark, man. So dark. That basically,
I love them though. I love them.
I do. It was like Dragon Slayer, where everybody dies. It's like, oh my gosh, oh, there's no heroes here. What's happening? And also stuff like Excalibur, believe it or not, of all movies.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
I was like 11 when I first saw that. I had no idea what's going on.
It's pretty heavy.
My brothers are like much older than me, and he said, "Oh, you like knights?" And I go, "Oh, I like knights. I watch this." I was halfway through the movie, it's like,
that was like with my I used to watch all the Barbarians and the He-Man,
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
and then I discovered Fire and Ice, and then all like Beastmaster and all these.
Yeah.
And
I've got
a
a story
while
about that.
ago, yeah, I was talking to my mom, and I showed her like scenes of Beastmaster and like stuff. I'm like, yeah, this is a nude scene. She's like, you're watching nude scenes? You're a kid? She's like, you never said anything. I didn't care.
Yeah.
I was just watching these things. She's like, what else were you watching? I'm like, I can't tell you that, but yeah, I was watching all that barbarian stuff or whatever.
Yeah.
But she
I
just
think
thought it was for kids. She just didn't. Yeah.
I was 12 when that first came out on like a home
Yeah.
video. And my dad got it for me because I like cartoons, right?
Yeah.
And he basically TV went on behind me. Cartoons. So they put it on and they left the room, and like we're 10 minutes into the sequences, and that's ice crashing and people dying and that sort of thing. And then we get to the scene with basically the princess, and it's like I'm 12 years old. I'm like, holy crap!
Yeah, I know.
So basically, and at that point, my dad comes back in and he goes, "What are you watching?" And I'm going, "I'm watching this, Dad." And he sits down and watches it with me because
Yeah.
and like 20 minutes later, my mother comes running in and goes, and so again goes, "What are you watching?" And I think at that point she was in the pool, like something like that, and it's like,
Oh
what
yeah,
the-" And it's like, and he goes, "Oh, you can't watch this. You're too impressionable." I was like, my dad's going, "It's too late."
Yeah.
it's too late.
It's too
already
late.
gone.
He's gone. But my fantasy stuff is not quite like that. It's basically all age fantasy. So there is adventure. There is actually peril. There are consequences. There are evil things do happen. Good, but good in the end always kind of triumphs in a way. I subscribe to the Marvel feat of clay, where basically they're kind of like, oh, we kind of beat it, but something worse is going to happen. So
Yeah.
it's all those fun little tropes as we tell these stories, and I like to think if I can get kids reading my books, I can transition into basically reading here over a superhero box. I move them along the line into basically books like guys like Matthias write like that Shinobu thing sounds really cool. I'm
Yes.
heavily
It does.
into,
It does.
heavily into ninjas and manga, and so it's if we can move in those directions and picking up reading comic books and reading them and understanding that basically they're not cheesy, they're not always superheroes all the time, which is a huge boundary for me to cross with a lot of my books.
Yeah.
It's we can capture some readers and get them really thinking about what they're going at. I know I kind of answered a little bit there, and then we kind of went to
No, that's okay. We'll get the
hey.
we'll get the link in the comments there. We definitely want to get some support for the live campaign for Let's Hunt Monsters. Great book, great premise. I think you got a great IP there. That's going to do very well.
I hope so too. Also partly inspired by the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles as well. God bless those turtle boys. So.
Yeah. So let's jump back to Marthius. The next part of our questions is tell the viewers a little bit about where we can find you, whether it's social media, your website. What is the best way for the viewers to find you? Marthius, you can go first.
Man, I am on social media, mostly on if you just go to like, TikTok or Instagram or Facebook and you type in Toshigawa Universe,
Nice.
it'll pop up. I do a lot of I've been spending a little bit more time on TikTok, putting up my progressions. I do a lot of fight scenes. I used to teach martial arts as well.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I taught martial arts for a number of years. I got
What kind of martial arts, can I ask?
Shotokan karate. So
Cool.
I taught Shotokan karate for a lot. I took Taekwondo first, and then I took Shotokan karate. Got my second degree black belt, and then I started taking kickboxing. Then I fought I fought a little bit in kickboxing until it started hurting too much. And then but what I do is I like to be able to mix the two, being able to show, take that idea of my of fight scenes and action scenes,
Break
like
it down.
that. Yeah, and break it down. I took I had an actual lesson with Michael Jai White, and he showed me how he broke fight scenes down for movies, and it's kind of the same thing I try to be able to bring into my artwork.
I'm interested in that stuff, so we could do a whole show just about that, actually.
Yeah, man. It's fun. So Toshigawa Universe, that's if you go there, you'll be able to find me. If you look at ToshigawaUniverse.com, that's my store. And that has all my books up. It has digital books up. It also has like some paraphernalia, shirts, t-shirts, apparel, stuff like that. We've been working on trying to get like plushies and stuff for
Do
our.
you mind if I ask you, that's something we sometimes ask on the show, what type of merch do you find to be better sellers?
Man,
If you don't mind sharing that part.
really tell you the truth, it depends on if it's the site or if it's the site or if it's a convention. If it's a convention, man, we sell a lot of, well, you know, Power Ranger prints, but we also sell
Yeah.
a lot of our books, man. We
Yeah.
have been doing really well with our books. I really feel
That's
like
awesome.
it's coming back around
Nice.
at conventions, you know. But anytime online, if we have any kind of, like, we have these like little figurines of some of our monsters that run around in our
Yeah.
deal,
Yeah.
and those sell really well. You know, when we have them, they sell out pretty quick, but they're kind of expensive to make, so we don't have a lot of them at a lot of times. We've been actually trying to be able to get our action figure made.
Oh, that's nice.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
So,
Wow, cool.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause I
so
remember you showed a prototype of this. I saw it on Facebook. Now I just see it.
yeah. So this is
Uh,
one of the prototypes. I got two prototypes, but this is one of them. So we're trying to get, and it's, you know, we're trying to get this made, but it's just, again, it's expensive. So anytime, independent wise, you can find someone that has, you know, a wide range of things that promote their work. You know what I mean? It
Mhm.
looks
Yeah.
like, it looks, I don't want to say it doesn't look legitimate if you just have a book, but it makes it feel more like a complete package. You know what I mean?
Branding. Yeah.
Yeah, your branding is all, you know, coming from marketing, man. Your branding is all
Yeah,
that we
yeah.
as smaller entities have. So
Right,
I'm always
right.
trying to be able to do that, you know. So
Well, yeah, and man, I'd love to ask you questions about that too, because I always
yeah,
wonder, again, not to try and get off the track, but like say
no,
t-shirts versus plushies. You've got to
yeah,
try and these are things you're looking for two things. You're looking for
right,
some branding image and you're looking to get a little bit of bang for your buck.
right,
You know,
right,
because advertising is, how do they say it? 50% of your advertising, you don't know whether it was good or bad. You know
right,
what I mean?
right,
You're
Yeah.
kind of swinging to see what'll work. And
right.
you know,
And
at the
that's,
end of the day, the thing is that you know, it's time, right? We would do
yeah,
it all if we had time.
right. And it's time. It just comes down to time and money and budget. And you just have to be like, we go to a lot of anime conventions. We do a lot of anime conventions.
Do you have a
And
favorite convention, Martheus?
man, my favorite selling convention
Yeah,
is
say just
is
your favorite in general.
my favorite convention so far has been probably Anime Blues Con. It's here in Memphis, but it's an anime convention, but it's huge. You know what I mean?
Ooh, that sounds fun.
And it's better for me because I don't have to pay for a hotel.
Yeah.
uh, but oh man, I did 5 years at San Diego Comic-Con, man, and I
Oh,
will say
wow.
that doing 5 years, we had me and my friend Adam Shaw, we had a booth. But that was when Adam was working doing stuff for Image, and I was doing stuff for IDW, kind of, you know what I mean, back and
Yeah.
forth. So we had a little bit of, you know,
Yeah.
money, but that was fun, man. I mean, that was just, I mean, but it's fun in a different level because you're out there and it's huge and you got a booth. I'm worried about selling and stuff like that, but I'm also trying to, you know, promote my stuff and get
Right,
packages
right.
out to publishers and stuff like that. So two different areas, just two different areas. But
Well, yeah, and thanks for sharing the knowledge. Like I said, I mean to go off the track, but
yeah,
sometimes
no,
I
no
really want
problem.
to know, you know, because everybody's got their different conventions that
Yeah,
they like.
yeah,
So
yeah.
let's
Most
jump over
definitely.
to Aaron. Aaron, tell us a little bit. Like I said, I do know about you a little bit. So share
Yeah.
with the viewers the best way to find you.
Pretty much Facebook and Instagram. Haven't delved out of that too much yet. My store, my last name is Humphreys, HUMPHRES, so Humphreys Illustration. Just type in my last name, illustration, or hit my online portfolio, and then my store is Big Cartel. But I mean, you can go to my Facebook, and I have tons of links to my store over there. And I sell pretty much all that. I haven't put up prints yet. That's all in my store, and I've been thinking. I keep making prints for conventions, but I make prints of my own art and my own ideas. So it's people kind of like, yeah, you know. So I thought about putting those up because the Noct character, my barbarian, started out as Prince, and I was going to basically tell a story of his life through still imagery, and I still have these, and so I was gonna I printed some of those, and a lot of times I'll give prints away if you buy so many copies of my book. I'll throw a print in for you. I've done that a few times.
Do you mind if I ask what your price point is for your 300-page book?
That's $40.
$40?
That's about right.
It's 300 pages. That's a pretty good deal.
Yeah,
that's a very good deal. I thought it'd at least be 50. So
yeah, right.
No, because I was kind of looking for price points, and 40 seems to be the sweet spot. So, yeah, and it's a complete story. I don't plan to do anything else with that. I moved on to something else. But yeah, Noct is an ongoing. But the thing I'm trying to do with Noct Special Convention is each issue is an individual story, so you can read them in any order, and they're not numbered. Right. So I'm trying to, because every time I go to conventions, I'm always have issue 1, 1, 1, like a ton of issue 1. So I'm like, I sell a ton of issue 1s and 2s, but nobody comes back to like read the rest of the story. Like I have, like so many people like, yeah, but you didn't finish the story. So there's tons of the end. So I'm trying to make it that anybody can buy anything. So they got people who can jump all over the story. So yeah. So I've been practicing writing short stories in 24 pages. Kind of challenging, but it's working.
That's what I do. That's what I do.
Yeah.
You got to have them broken up. You can get them published all over the place then.
Right. And you can toss one anywhere. I mean, so that's why I don't do alternate covers. So, because the cover's the story. So if I did alternate covers, that would just confuse the hell out of people. So like, okay, so that one I got to stick cover with the book. You like the cover, you get the story.
You're right about that, buddy. I do have that problem at conventions because I do, even for each one short story, there's like a cover that can go with it if you want. It's like a variant of a variant almost. And people are like, well, wait, so does this? And it's like, well, you get to pick which cover you want, basically. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, well,
and you get the same story or whatever.
And they're like, well, I'm just looking for 1 through 4. Okay. So I started bagging them up like bag sets, 1 through 4.
Yeah. And if you look up like Noct or like Godlands, I'm sure you'll find my stuff. I've been doing this a long time. So, but yeah, no plushies. I tried to get in the shirt. So I do prints and comics. I haven't moved into.
I think you could do a pretty cool shirt, man, with that logo. I betcha.
Yeah, I know.
Or with the Noct character on the shirt.
Yeah, I thought about looking into that. I actually wouldn't mind doing a 3D printed model something of my.
Some of the people do those little acrylic standees. Have you seen those? It's like
yeah. Well, I think MARTHEUS was doing. Now, did you 3D print your figurines, MARTHEUS?
Yeah.
Okay.
I 3D printed these, and then I sell these. But the problem is like I said, it just comes down to price point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like how much do you think that you'll be able to get this versus how much you have to spend to get them in? You know.
Exactly. Especially like if you get a lot, yeah.
Right.
Like the action figures I've heard are cool, but they could be spendy when you finally get them. The price point match.
That's what I meant by bang for the buck. Yeah. Man, I love the idea, but the costs are at my level prohibitive. They're prohibitive for me.
I know some Kickstarters have done like the miniatures, depending. But I mean, of course, the smaller the better, because I would assume the less resin. If you're 3D printing them yourself, the less resin you're using, you're saving money. And yeah.
Well, and MARTHEUS, am I correct? The main cost is for the design time to make the build for the 3D print, right?
Yeah. Well, that was a big cost. Luckily, I knew a guy who cut me a really good deal because
that's cool.
They were already working on their own line of action figures. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So
nice.
That's what I would need. Yeah,
when they went ahead and kind of created as they were creating their own. So that's a big cost. But the other cost is just because, you know, is manufacturing. You know what I mean? Manufacturing part, because this action figure this one is actually on the line of like a Marvel Legends figure. So it's like it's got all this articulation and stuff that go with it, and extra.
It looks good. It looks good.
Blast effect. So that stuff right there, that ends up being expensive because of all the tooling that's involved.
Tools are very expensive. You're talking about $5-6 grand per piece.
So,
at least.
So it could get expensive. Now, once you make that first figure and you get that first figure produced, it's just running off. But the money and time about actually getting the figure, you need some capital. Like if we actually do this figure, we're going to do a Kickstarter for it, essentially. And raise the money that way, get the first figure out, and then that's after that first group of figures are out, then we just we do the rest,
Cool.
and then that's where you
Yeah.
start.
Excellent.
Let's-
So let's circle back to Nick. We're almost to our time. Nick, tell the viewers a little bit where we can find you, right? And
Okay.
also, can you give us a little bit of a quote for somebody that's just starting out? A little bit of an inspirational quote.
Oh my, okay, not too difficult then. Okay, well, you can find me. I'm all over the internet. It's like a really bad disease. You can find me on my social medias. Just type in alt-world or alt-world, depending on your social media preference. You'll probably find myself on there. You'll also find me on my website. I like visual props, as you can see. Basically, here it's Altwood Studios. This is my primary website here. On there, you can find absolutely everything I do, including my big shout out to my Let's Hunt Monsters Kickstarter. Yes, I am pushing it a lot.
Nice.
But it's you can find me on the social medias. I'm pretty amiable, good person to speak to. If you're genuine, I'll probably pretty much will follow you back. I chat to hundreds of people every day about various different things. If you're something else and I just don't have anything to do with you.
Highly recommended. Man, Nick's a good guy. Every convention, he's the super positive guy holding all the teams together. That's who he is.
We got a lot of fun at these shows because sometimes they can drag. We all have the down points and up points. So it is what it is. But you can find me in the social medias there. Everything's on my website. You can find me at various conventions. I'm actually going to be up in Scotland, Pennsylvania this Sunday, for Super Bowl Sunday in the morning at the Scotland Community Centre, doing a very, very local and very, very small show.
Wow,
It's
cool.
in an attempt to basically warm myself up for the big ones that come in. So I've got Awesome Com just around the corner, and that's a 3 days. It's going to be a marathon, that is. So that's got a lot of fun coming from that way. As for an inspirational quote to basically basically sort of thing, and that's a very hard thing to find and basically pull out of nowhere. But I always say is, this is gonna paraphrase and sound really terrible, and I'm gonna sound like a bad sneaker advert in a second. just do it.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that.
That's great. That's great.
Everybody can talk a good game. It's as simple as that. But the people who can do it are sitting down and doing the craft. It's time.
Right.
And also be prepared to suck.
Right. Yeah.
Because once you're brave enough to suck, you're going to be brave enough to basically develop from there. Although I'm pretty certain that probably sounded better in my head than it came out my mouth, so I do apologize. So that's my thoughts on the process. But to talk about Matthias's basically action figure thing for a second there, I did way back in the day have a exploration into China, because that's where these things get made.
Yeah.
And and I don't think you can see just the corner of the camera. Just I'm going to point him back there. We see if we can turn the camera, touch that guy back there sitting on top.
Okay.
So the top of my first one of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles there. That's Tristan the teddy bear. We tried to get him basically made as an action figure, and I think they came back with a quoted price with 5 points of articulation about yay high. About $10,000, which actually
that's what mine was.
Too bad, but it's still like, oh my gosh, that's a lot of cheese to put out there for basically taking a chance on it. But I understand these things and where they go. But yeah, you can find me on social media, and I talk far too much.
Hey man, I'm glad that we got you guys together. Let me just say in closing that I am grateful that you took some time to spend it with us here tonight. I love hearing from artists, and I love to hear how they are making what they're making. So congratulations to you guys on your many successes. You deserve it.
You too, Tim. You're kicking ass out there too, mate. So
yeah, well, I'll see you at the 4-State Con. So other than that,
yes, you will. Yes.
That's an episode of the Creative Cranium. Guys, we'll see you next Friday night at the 50th episode spectacular. Good night, everybody.
Thank you.